Huawei Nova 9 review, a more affordable HMS phone. The Nova 9 looks great, the display is sharp, and the main camera is a real triumph for the price. But that's still not enough to make this phone worth it for the average user. With no 5G networking and no support for the Google Play Store, the Nova 9 simply doesn't add up for most people. Huawei's phone business may be embattled, to put it mildly, but it hasn't stopped making new phones. Most of them haven't made it to European shores, however, with one notable exception, the Huawei Nova 9. It's not clear why, of all phones, the Nova 9 is the one to reach Europe, especially when we're still waiting for the P50 Pro, but it really embodies Huawei's current situation, with impressive hardware hamstrung by familiar software problems. One thing you can't fault the Nova 9 on is how it looks, especially in the Hero starry blue color I've been testing out, which also has a subtly grippy, textured back. While this is a large phone thanks to the 6.57-inch display, it's still thin at 7.8mm and light at 175G. That makes it feel portable and compact despite the large screen, and curved edges keep it comfortable to hold too. The only really divisive element might be the rear camera module, which sees the main lens ensconced in one large circle, with 3 more shooters and the flash dropped in a second circle below. I don't love the look, but you may, and you certainly couldn't call it boring. Note that sadly there's no water or dust-resistant IP rating for the phone, nor does it use Gorilla Glass on the display, so it's not as tough as some more expensive devices. The final thing that does need noting here is that this design is essentially identical to the Honor 50, also available in the UK and Europe, except for the choice of finishes. The phones do differ in some other respects. The Huawei has the better camera, while the Honor has the crucial advantage of Google software, but if it's the phone's look that caught your eye, then do at least consider the Honor too. This is another fairly strong showing for the Nova 9. The 120Hz OLED panel here is a beauty, covering over 1 billion colors and handling HDR very nicely. Huawei Nova 9 display. At 6.57 inch, it's a pretty big screen, though really that's average for Android these days. It's curved, but not extremely, essentially enough to make it comfortable and look attractive, but without compromising usage, so those nervous about curved screens shouldn't have too much to worry about. There's also an under-display fingerprint reader, which I've found to be fast and reliable. Face unlock is available if you prefer, though driven only by a single selfie camera, so it's not as secure as Apple's implementation. The Nova 9 is a firmly mid-range device, and so uses Qualcomm's Snapdragon 778G chipset. It's paired with 8GB of RAM and either 128GB or 256GB of storage, with availability varying a bit by market. This isn't the fastest or most powerful phone on the market, but it's got more than enough power for the average user. It's smooth and fluid, even when multitasking, and there's enough oomph to run any modern smartphone game too. Looking at our benchmark results, you'll see that in the CPU-focused Geekbench 5, the Nova 9 holds its own against all but the most powerful flagship and gaming phones, and doesn't actually lag too far behind those anyway. Here is one big caveat looming over the Nova 9's chipset though. One of the quirks of the US government's trade restrictions on Huawei is that while the company can buy smartphone chipsets from Qualcomm, it can't buy 5G-enabled chips. That means that as powerful as this phone is, it's 4G only. You may not mind this, especially if you live in a relatively rural area or a country with limited 5G uptake, but it definitely hurts if you're looking to future-proof your phone purchase. Battery life isn't exactly a strength of the Nova 9, but it's certainly not a weakness either. The 4,300 mAh battery here is enough for the phone to last a day's use fairly comfortably, but not enough to stretch it to 2 days unless you're an exceptionally light user. Fundamentally, that makes the battery life fairly average for the modern market. You can easily find phones that last longer, but this is far from the worst out there. If there's one bit of phone hardware that Huawei excels at, it's the camera. This is arguably the reason there's still interest in the company's flagship P50 phones without Google or 5G, as plenty of people will make that sacrifice in the name of what could be the best phone camera around. Huawei Nova 9 camera. To be clear, the Nova 9 isn't packing the best phone camera around. But it does have a really capable camera, especially in the main lens, with diminishing returns beyond that. The 50MP main camera, encased in its own circular housing, uses Huawei's RYYB pixel arrangement, which the company prefers especially for low light performance, though frustratingly here it isn't combined with optical image stabilization, OIS, which is key to really excellent night photography. In any case, photos here broadly impress. In daylight the main camera is exceptional, with rich colors and vivid detail in a range of conditions. In darker lighting results are good, but the lack of OIS does show. When the camera gets it right you'll find well-exposed, detailed night mode photos with surprisingly accurate color, but every now and then a shot will come back useless because they're just fractionally too much camera shake, and the phone's electronic stabilization couldn't keep up. The more things change, the more they stay the same. In one sense, the Nova 9 offers a fairly new software experience in EMUI 12, but in another there are some very familiar Huawei problems here. This isn't officially Android, though was initially developed from the Android open source project, but it equally isn't officially Harmony OS, the new multi-platform operating system that now ships on the company's phones in China, and on some of its tablets and wearables worldwide. That said, I've used Harmony OS on the MatePad Pro, and EMUI 12 is very similar. Uncannily so. So much so, that you might wonder if this is really Harmony OS by another name. I can't speak to the source code, but I can confirm that this features touches like the iOS S Control Center and Huawei ecosystem support that is found in Harmony OS. Regardless of what this is at a technical level, in practical terms this is an extremely similar software experience to Harmony OS. The Nova 9 is available now in Europe, where it costs €499 for the 128GB model, and €549 for the 256GB variant. You can buy it directly from Huawei, or from Amazon and other retailers. Huawei has clearly worked to hit an aggressive price point here to combat skepticism about the phone's inherent deficiencies. The result is that this offers one of the better cameras at this price, along with competitive specs.